as I was reading your book, one of the people that you quote more than, I think it might be the most quoted person, is John F. Kennedy.
Yes.
Which, again, to me, here you are saying like, hey, here's a great speech from this person who had the ideals that I think are good for America. And it's a Democrat. It's just a Democrat from whatever, 60 something years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. And I brought him up and quoted him and quoted Reverend Martin Luther King during those 2020 presidential debates. And the party bosses and kind of that inner core of the Democratic Party base, they wouldn't have it. They wouldn't have it. And these are two of the most celebrated Democrat icons in history. But when you actually say, okay, let's listen to what they were saying, mm-hmm. and understand how their words very, very much apply to the challenges we face as a country today. And we would all, as Americans, be better off taking heed to their calls to action. Not interested.
Just shut down.
A wholesale rejection. It's even worse than just not paying attention. It's a wholesale rejection. And yes, shut down. In one of the debates, I think it may have been the last debate that I participated in, Kamala Harris's, it was me at the podium making a pitch to really change the Democratic Party and bring it back to being the party that fought for the little guy, the party that celebrated free speech. And the comeback that Kamala Harris came with was, don't listen to her. She goes on Fox News. And the whole crowd started clapping. And then she's like, don't listen to her. She criticized Barack Obama. And of course, there's no, why did she criticize his position? Oh, really? It was because he wanted to go start another stupid counterproductive war in the Middle East that I thought would be a really bad idea. None of that. Mm-hmm. She's not a member of the team. She's not a blind follower. She had the audacity to challenge the president and the head of our own party, my former party. And she wants the party to go and actually represent the people. And that was it was such an eye-opening experience on so many levels, but it was very revealing about their mindset, their priorities, and the there I'm talking about is the Democrat elite, which is distinct and different from Democrats who I hear from all the time across the country, people who still call themselves Democrats, but who hate what the party, the national party, is doing.
As you're out
the direction they're headed.
As you're out there talking to people, are people come to that conclusions? The Democrats that you talk to, or a lot of them come to the conclusion that's not what we signed up for? Yeah,
more and more. And it's not just people who are, retirees or people who've been I've been a Democrat for 40 years, 50 years. There's a woman I met in D.C. a few days ago. She's probably in her mid-20s. And came from a family of Democrats. It's just the way, these were the values that they were brought up with. But even she was just she's like, it's not a popular thing to do, especially in Washington, D.C., to be like, man, the Democrats are they are destroying our country and are doing their best to undermine those fundamental principles. But she's like, I read your book, and page after page, I'm like, that's how I feel. That's how I feel. And so, she's trying to share that with mm-hmm. people in her friend circle and her family. Some are open to it, some aren't. But there are a lot of people out there who feel the same way that I do, and in their own way have been going through this similar journey, but are still too afraid to talk about it. I spoke in Boston maybe a weekend or two ago at a big 1,000 people big event to raise money to support Gold Star families and to support veterans and to honor our fallen brothers and sisters. Wonderful, wonderful special event, amazing organization. What was really, the crux of my speech at this event was about how we honor those who have paid the ultimate price, not just on Memorial Day, but in the choices that we make in our everyday lives. And while we hear the phrase, freedom is not free, what are we doing? Whether you've served in uniform or you haven't served in uniform, what are we as Americans doing to defend our freedom? Because that's how we honor those who paid the ultimate price by living up to and upholding those principles and those values. And so my speech was, it was not, I didn't use the word Democrat or Republican once. It was not a partisan or political speech at all. It was a speech about, here are some examples about how our freedom is being undermined right here at home by people in power today who are abusing their power. And with many of those examples, it was dead silence in the room. A couple of people would clap. And a guy came up to me after, older Vietnam veteran, and such a sweet person. He came up and he whispered into my ear and he said, "I was moved to tears by the message that you shared. It really hit home. I was too afraid to clap at what you were saying because of I don't know how that would be received by other people in this room." It really, it made me so sad to see a person like him who has seen the ugliness of war and lived through it and lost so much in so many ways to get to this point where he is today, and to feel that fear that has been created in our society that is leading to self-censorship and people being afraid just to celebrate freedom and understand what's really going on. That's why I'm, it's why I'm doing what I'm doing, because if I can in my own small way be that voice that can help embolden and inspire other people to know, number one, you're not alone. You're not alone. And number two, we can't afford to cower in the corner in fear because of that warning that Abraham Lincoln gave, so long ago. If we do that, we will allow this suicide of our country and our principles and our values to take place, and we will wake up in a world that the country that we love will be unrecognizable and the freedoms that we cherish will be lost.